It's time for AI News, brought to you by AIAW Podcast.
Awesome. So time for some AI news. This is just a break in the middle of the podcast where we're going to speak about some of the latest news, each of one of us, and see if we can bring up some of the more exciting things happening in recent times. I think this week is it's very hard to not choose the same topic. I'm not sure how should we go about doing this, Henrik?
Let me steer it. So I will start with the angle of the news that was updated hour by hour with the oosting of Sam Altman,
the
soap
AI.
opera, the Kardashians of
The Kardashians of AI.
that was your LinkedIn comment, right?
Yes.
The Kardashians
Definitely Kardashian. I'm waiting for what is...
it's amazing,
I'm
right?
waiting for the
Kanye
movie
West
as well.
to come into play here.
Yeah, but it's been everywhere. It's been.
Wait, I would like to explain what happened very quickly.
Okay.
So I made a drama about this a bit, right?
Oh, you really? Okay.
So last Friday, the worst
You
comes
only
out.
have 2 minutes. You know that.
I'm going to do this very quickly. Right?
Okay.
So last Friday, Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI, gets invited to a meeting, knocks on the door, gets in. They're saying you out. He gets pissed off. Goes out.
I think it was a Google Meet meeting, but
Yes,
okay.
so it was a Google meeting actually. That was around noontime, and then
Not even physical.
yes, exactly. A few minutes later, the board actually. So he's been fired by the board, and in the board, of course, there are two people in this, which is Sam and Ilya, right? So this is basically where the drama comes in, the Kardashians. So Ilya manages to fire Sam. Sam goes out. And Sam is followed by this other character who is very important for OpenAI called Greg. And they are saying like, fuck it, we're leaving. We're going to start a new AI chip company. And then Microsoft says like, shit, we invested a lot of money, 10 billion in this company. 49% of all of our money is going to go to waste. So they're speaking with a lot of investors and like, this cannot happen. They cannot open a new company. If they are leaving, we need to get them into Microsoft.
I just have to interrupt. I mean,
Yes.
the ship company idea, I think, happened before that. So they already had an idea to start that. But okay.
Right.
go
Okay,
ahead.
good. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for correcting this.
Editorial correction.
Yeah.
On the
this,
fly.
This bullshit overview.
No
of what
AI.
happened.
It's no AI. It's
Right.
English.
So now Microsoft and all the investors are pissed off and they are saying like they're putting pressure on the board. The board says like, okay, maybe we should allow them to come back. So on Sunday, Sam tries to come back. He gets like a badge thing, or comes to his own company, and they say like, we changed our mind, goodbye. Right? So what happens after that? Microsoft and the board say like, this is bad. What the shit is happening? So I think that the board should go. So they're firing the board and then Sam is back. And that concludes everything. So the capitalists win.
I mean, yeah.
I think
I'm not
it's
very
a good
happy
one.
with that overview, but
No,
I
I
must
think
say.
it's a very good overview. That is what happened. If this was a cartoon, this is how it would happen.
No, but
I
okay.
mean, so many angles on this. I
Yeah,
mean,
but let me take two angles.
Okay.
Let me take it from here and take it back on. So this is in a nutshell like you how you get the, you know, when you see a new Mandalorian episode and you get what has happened before, like 2 seasons in 30 seconds. And the two main angles I want to draw out of this is on the one hand side, the do's and don'ts of a board, like the angle here of how did the board actually act here. And, you know, there is some wild misunderstandings or misinterpretations of the consequences of their actions. Like they start something that just blows up. So it's a very interesting analysis of thinking carefully about how to set up a board, the construct of the board, responsibility of the board, but then also from the board members taking action in such a way without thinking through the consequences. So this is the one angle I want to highlight. The other angle is actually Microsoft, you know, literally playing a masterful game of chess on 5 levels. So if you think carefully of Satya's types of tweets and what they offered was literally in a way, at some point in time, they were almost doing an acqui-hire, like acquisition hire. Like basically, instead of buying a company for $13 billion, getting the right people in.
I mean, they invested 19, I believe, and the company's worth 86 billion to some valuation. Now they potentially got all the people and the knowledge for only that small investment that they had for 49%. And they would potentially be a super win-win solution if they had proceeded.
Yeah, but I don't think that was the end game.
No, but
that was actually putting pressure on the board.
No, but
because if 700 people from 770 people,
90% of the people.
90%. So the CEO, the Greg is going, and 90% of their staff is leaving to Microsoft. What do you have for a company? Yes, they were threatening. They didn't came. No, that is actually the pressure.
No, but the bottom line here, if the board played this really, really badly, I would argue Microsoft played this brilliantly.
Yes,
perfect. So basically, they were playing chess in what they had 3 or 4 or 5 different scenarios, and whatever scenario comes out, we're the winners. So brilliantly played by Microsoft in the way how they managed this, how they communicated about this, how they were supportive but kept things open, and they were basically winning either way.
Yeah.
Do you think that they knew beforehand?
No, I don't think so. I think they are super brilliant, smart people to read the situation. I mean, like if the board read the situation incorrectly, Microsoft understood and read the situation and the scenarios correctly, and then played a game that they didn't put themselves in one corner. They played it such to a win, and it's brilliant, really brilliant enterprise businessmanship, business acumen.
And maybe it also proves the importance of experience, like in this Game of Thrones in the corporate life.
The corporate setup, and you can almost, if you look at the board perspective here, the board. I mean, like it's Ilya, right? Who is a researcher, a brilliant researcher, and maybe the real brain of OpenAI, the real brain of OpenAI. But not a corporate business guy in this sense, I think.
But my joke was a little bit maybe...
And maybe he didn't even play it. He didn't realize what he was getting himself into.
You have to understand that this is also what is called like a duel between capitalism and, to some sense, this effective altruistic...
Maybe not.
Right. But in general, I think this was a cockfight. And
I think the board was so horribly bad here. I mean, they appointed a person after they fired Sam, which was Mira Murati.
Who's an excellent person, by the way.
She later were replaced by Emmett Shear. Both Mira and Emmett Shear then went against the board that appointed them and said, we want Sam back. The person that they themselves like appointed. And I mean, it's so horribly bad played by the board. But what's even worse, when they, I guess on Monday or Tuesday later, said that Sam is coming back, they're not taking the awesome position at Microsoft. They are actually trying to reunite the people at OpenAI and create a new company again with Ilya and Sam and Greg and everyone else.
Who's on this board anyway?
Yes, the weird thing with that was it was one person called Adam D'Angelo or something.
Yeah,
he was like the Quora guy, and Quora, they basically is a question answering site. They basically are getting killed by ChatGPT because you don't need to go to Quora anymore. You can just ask ChatGPT. They also actually had a GPTs store or a similar kind of thing that they announced in the dev days by OpenAI. So they had everything to lose by having them announce what they did on the dev days 2 weeks ago. The weird thing is that Adam is still on the board now, in the new board. Everyone else, Sam is out, Ilya is out, Greg is out of the board, and they are getting some new people in.
One Salesforce guy and one from...
Yeah, a Salesforce guy, some economist or something, Larry or whatever his name was. But why is Adam still there? I mean, I think he was driving the whole change.
Yeah.
This is so many weird questions still.
He was representing a fund that actually started the entire. So keep this in mind. This is an all capitalist game right now. What happened on Friday was basically very emotional type of a decision without thinking how the investors will think about it. We're talking about a company that is making 1 billion revenue now per year, that is valuated on a very, very high thing. And you two guys are going to play jackasses and you're going to fire each other? What do you think? This is not even, this is a corporate and capitalistic thing. It's not nothing special. I mean, Microsoft had 49% of the company. You think that they will risk such thing for some trivial?
If you have a 49% owner and they don't know about the stuff 2 days before it's happened, disaster.
Anyway,
we stop there.
You can reason about whatever kind of motivation that the board has to do this, and it's been so many conspiracy theories about why they acted as they did. Everything from the mistrust for whatever he's been deceptive back and forth, and Elon Musk had his own kind of thing, which I'm not going
putting
to say
petrol on the fire.
Yeah, but one of the recent thing that I know you said as well, Olle, was the Q star thing. So one potential reason for this, which is of course pure speculation, we don't know for sure, but one potential reason is that they actually had come very close to AGI, something that could be GPT-5, that is using something called the Q star algorithm. And it's kind of funny for me because, I did my PhD like 20 years ago in Q learning. Q learning was actually one part of...
What is Q learning?
Quantum learning, or what is it? No.
So it's a type of reinforcement learning. Uh-huh. And reinforcement learning has been used for the normal GPT 3.5 and 4 as well. But this is a type of, I can go into techniques if you want, because this is something I've studied quite a lot. But Q-learning is simply a type where you map both the state and the action to some value. Instead of traditional temporal difference or Monte Carlo learning, you actually have an algorithm that maps the...
this is not it. I will show something.
No, that was not it.
I will talk about it, actually. That is
anyway, it is basically trying to map potentially two kind of algorithms. One is Q-learning. It's simply a way to find, how can you reason in an efficient way, to another kind of algorithm called A-star. A-star is just a search algorithm where you have a big tree or graph of states and you want to find, the shortest path to something else. And it's one of these, it's been around since I think the 60s or something, this kind of A-star, mapped with a Q-learning that's been around since the 80s. I think, one way to describe this is basically, if you take the traditional GPT-4s, they have a great perception component. They have an ability to understand text and now also audio and video, but still they have the perception ability. They didn't have the high level of reasoning and they didn't have the control ability. So if you take the self-driving car, they basically have these three components: the perception, which Elon calls going from the raw data into some vector space. But then you have to have also some kind of planning, reasoning capability, and that didn't really GPT-4 have. If you take another one that did have the reasoning capability, which is basically AlphaZero, and these kind of reinforcement learning algorithms that were able to play chess better than any human, or play Go better than any human, or do StarCraft, or whatever. They have beaten humans to a superhuman level by far. So they had the reasoning ability, but they didn't have the perception ability. They didn't have the world model. So we had now one system that was awesome when it comes to the world model perception ability. And we have another system that was awesome in the reason, but didn't have the world model. Now if you put that together...
And this is maybe...
Then
GPT-5.
You have a system that have...
So the speculation is that your Q-star is adding that missing link to the rest of the chat.
Combining both the perception and the world model that they had with the normal GPT-4 with the high-level reasoning coming from Q-star learning. Now, this would add high-level reasoning to an awesome perception. And basically what they said, someone said, in Q-star, they basically 100% mathematical accuracy, being able to do these kind of mathematical
So the speculation here now, now we're part of the whole speculation train, is about ChatGPT 5 being something quite...
Let's call it, ChatGPT is an application, GPT is the model.
Yeah.
So GPT 5 potentially, then the model itself
has taken a huge leap because they have the Q-star approach added to it.
They had high-level reasoning combined with perception, which potentially comes much closer to AGI than anything else.
And all of a sudden now there is a high-pressure game going on. What the hell do we do now?
Yes.
And where does this speculation come from? Because it's been floating around on a couple of different, where do we see this? Where did you find this?
And it's been on OpenAI's forum. So OpenAI have their own forum discussion boards, and you can see them speculating about Q-star and whatnot. And there's still speculation.
But this is an interesting angle on the story. There's the Q-star that started it all.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not so weird that Sam Altman didn't tell the board if they had these board members on, you know. But, I mean, it's also about, I mean, I used to work in different kind of stock listed companies like Schibsted and MTG. And if there was something big going on, I mean, you can be charged with the insider crime if you leak it or act on it. And I mean, it's a lot about secrecy. And of course, yeah, Sam Altman and all the rest of them, of course, they know this. But I mean, this kind of information is so sensitive. And yeah, I can see why they wanted to control the way that it came out. Now it came out anyway because of this debacle.
When we make a movie out of all this, of course, this adds to the whole drama, this speculation, and
this is a Netflix movie. Definitely.
This is a Netflix movie, you know. And the interesting thing is, of course, something major must have happened for them to act like that, and they have not then following up when people ask them why did you fire him, and have been very vague around that. Yeah. It's something deeper here. And
what do you think all about the whole story? Did you follow it closely, or what was your?
Not closely, but I think to do the little meta news angle on this, I think that this taps into the normal logic of business journalism, basically. Which is to follow the kind of human drama. The papers are specialists at that. You know, Dagens Industri, our business title here in Sweden, it was a person-focused tabloid for business. Always saying that if the CEO of, for example, Volvo or Ericsson, if they made huge profits, he was like, he made like 18 billion crowns in the last quarter, you know, always kind of personifying news.
In order to make it more interesting and
more interesting. People are interested in people, you know, that's why you talk about the Kardashians.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, this has always with OpenAI and 100 million users in a couple of months. I mean, it's always been pinpointed to individuals and these kind of strong characters, and they kind of almost become like cartoon figures, you know, go into Congress and already there. It's like larger than life characters, no? And then then the AI stuff is complicated. I mean, you went into now the Q-Star model. I mean, I thought Q-Star was a gas station. You know, it is in Sweden. But you know, now it's hard to explain and to get people to understand what's going on in this very, very different, complicated model. Maybe they don't understand fully themselves, you know, in the tech companies. So then if we have an easy story now with Sam Altman getting fired, you know, and
it's easier. We can latch on.
We can relate to that, and who are the new contenders going for this, and,
exactly.
And this is a lousy individual, or this is a great
this
guy.
This is the hero. This is
Here's
the villain.
The White Knight. You know, it becomes like a Shakespearean drama.
And then back to humanity, humans, and we can relate again.
Exactly, we can relate to that. So that was my meta angle. My other take is just that so much other interesting stuff. You talked about this dev weeks that they had. I mean, GPTs, for example, we started dabbling with that at Swedish Radio, doing like explore Swedish Radio content.
How did SVT or Swedish Radio, I guess,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Start to explore GPTs. Can you just elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah,
that's your news.
So my
are we done with the news?
No, this is the last bit. GPTs in news in radio.
We've spent 20 minutes.
I have 4 news, man.
I know, but we have 20 minutes on this.
Yeah.
Go. Okay. How did the Swedish Radio start to experiment with GPT?
So my colleague Christian Gillinger, he wrote a little prompt and asked this GPTs model to go to our website and basically pick out information that he inquired for. So, for example, where can I find what's the latest news from swedishradio.se. So it answered, here's the latest broadcast news bulletin from Ekot. It contains latest updates and in-depth stories, blah, blah, blah. Here's the link to that. Or what are the cultural news, he asked. And then it said, I can recommend Kulturnytt when you can find it here. That kind of stuff. I mean, we did it in like 2 hours. So it's just
Really?
an
Took 2 hours. To
But it works, and it's accurate.
It works, and it's very accurate, and it's very kind of contained also, and not hallucinating. He and another colleague, they made a skateboard app in like like an hour or so. You could ask complicated questions about building skateboards or whatever it was. So it's tailoring for niche uses. And that's the thing, that so many interesting things are happening then behind this whole spectacle around the drama around OpenAI. So I think we have to keep two thoughts in our heads at once.
Good one. Should we have a second news reel for Goran? We stop and start again.
And now. No, very quickly. So I think that on a side of what has happened with OpenAI that everybody talked about, there was 4 news that I thought they were very relevant for this week. The first thing is that basically Anthropic released the Claude 2.1, which is a new model, or actually a slightly improved model that has a more basically context window. And the best thing is fine-tuned, so it's less hallucination. So they are extremely proud about that. The second news was...
You know that one story during the whole drama around OpenAI was that they want to merge with Anthropic.
Yeah.
Anthropic came from people that moved out from what is called from OpenAI because they didn't agree on the AI safety and the risks of AI. So
they have an awesome safety feature with a constitutional AI approach.
Yes,
so
exactly.
They really have a great safety feature.
So if we are talking about on which level that so now we are going back to OpenAI. They were a little bit towards the Ilias there. All right, good. So we will not delve any more in that. The interesting thing about Meta actually is moving to generative AI, but instead of that, and how they're doing it, they are basically disbanding the responsible AI team. And they're moving them to generative AI, which is showing that they have decided to move more towards that technology in order to catch up with the rest of the team. It's expected, given that they have been focusing so much on virtual reality and things like that.
But how does this relate to Meta AI research, like Jan LeCun and these teams? This is different, I think.
So there are different divisions that are actually working on different things within Meta. So I think that one of the teams it's called the RAI. So it's a responsible AI. It's been in the news for some time now that they have been trying to disband this. So now it's official and they're moving them into the Meta's generative AI products. The next news, second last, is that AWS is going into the game now of talent. So they are trying actually to educate around, I think it was 200,000 people. 2 million actually people. Yeah,
1 0 wrong.
Yeah, 1 0 off. So they want basically to educate around 2 million people in basics AI or a little bit more advanced AI. And of course, this is very important for them because they need to catch up with the talent that they have inside. And this is the cheapest way how to do it.
So it's upskilling inside the company?
Yes, upskilling and also educating people from outside. So people can apply for it.
Similar to elements of AI in Sweden.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Goran, do you know, one of these kind of basic courses around there, that the Finnish government offered the whole population to do
yes,
that.
And we took it to Sweden.
I
was actually part of that.
Element of AI.
Are we also...
we have a Swedish version of that.
I know about elements of it, but have we actively also promoted that to like the whole population?
It's part of Linköping University. They actually, you can get credit scores for taking the course as well.
I think that maybe even the government should recommend it, but you know they've been very quiet.
They actually did through
Agreed.
AI Sweden. So AI Sweden was the one that was publicizing this in Sweden. I actually took the course. It was a nice introduction. Yeah, it's good. The interesting thing for Henrik here, do you know what they call the program?
There, of course.
Yeah, of course. They call it AI Ready. Okay, and final.
Actually, we should
Sue
actually.
them.
Yeah.
No. I've been with the patent. We talked this after work. I've been with patent lawyers about this.
All right, cool, good stuff. And the last one is actually we have continues on our discussion about AI and art. So some Spanish dudes have managed actually to create like a model, which is of course you can do it every 3D journey. Created an Instagram or social media channel, and then people started being crazy nuts for that and offering basically between 1,000 and 3,000 euros for advertisement and stuff like that. And people started hitting on this person, so they managed like okay, this is good. So we have some kind of a business here, and they're very proud of it. So they have yes, exactly. This is legal catfishing. Right? That is exactly what it has. 121,000 followers on Instagram, and then the interesting thing is how they're bragging here. What they are saying, like in the first month, we realized that people follow lives, not images. Since she is not alive, we had to give her a bit of reality so people could relate to her in some way. We had to tell a story, and of course, then they Photoshop the shit out of the thing and started creating images like this.
Normal,
yes.
normal clothes.
Yes. And this is so weird. So everything that we discussed right now is there. So this is legal catfishing.
What do you mean with legal catfishing?
Because you see, people are actually even hitting on this person, and they think that this is a life. Yeah. She has 121,000 followers. It's not because this is the AI generated model. It's actually because it looks like a human being, and they are saying people do not like images. We needed to create life. And then this is what they did.
Did you see the other story about
Jesus?
Generated AI images is more lifelike than real images. You mentioned that as well, Ola, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, maybe in relation to voice, but that's. I mean, yeah. I mean, now it's starting to happen, and just going back to a voice point around that. I mean, I've heard some of these, like. It was actually a German company with like not just perfect voice, then everybody can do that nowadays, but like huffs and puffs and
filler words and whatnot,
and like sounding like us,
more natural.
Yes,
like, yeah,
and yeah, that's scary shit.
Yeah, it is.